Oh, it's not tight. Hold up. Too many wires to get plugged in.
And that is EJ certified.
Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed history.
How about that?
All right, folks, so we are on our way to Chicago for the NHRA race this weekend. So we got 2.0 in the trailer. We got the deuce box in there, Aiden's car. So that is one of the questions. So why do we have Aiden's car in there? Because he is not racing there. So the best, one of the right guesses, or if multiple people get the right guess on what we're bringing it for, we're going to send you out a merch pack. We'll speak about merch though. We've got a couple new shirts there. The one guy that we call him the People's Champ, because literally, and we're talking about for the magazine, we're going to do a People's Champ every year, but based on the most extreme drag and drive guy, the one that travels the furthest distances, the one that goes to the extra mile to be able to attend these. This guy attends with his dad at most of these races. So we, the first annual People's Champ, Richard Guido. So we did a shirt for the People's Champ with Guido on there. So those shirts are available over on the merch site. You can go grab those, check those out. We also, girls been wanting more shirts, so we did come out with this new shirt on the website, just a girl who loves drag and drive. So that is EJ, by the way. So she's the one that asked for this shirt. Now, the Tahoe's going to Chicago. Rick from Utah picked the money when we were doing the Tahoe giveaway. We've gone back and forth with a couple different things, and stuff's happened to where we haven't been able to get the trade and made agreements. We are bringing the title for the Tahoe. So if you have a trade that you would like to trade us for the Tahoe and you could bring it to Chicago this weekend, message us, because we will meet you in the parking lot or somewhere close to the track, title for title, to trade the Tahoe for something cool. We would love something that we can take on Six Summer and drive. EJ doesn't have anything to drive for Six Summer right now, so she's hoping that you can get a cool drag and drive style car or something we built into a cool drag and drive car for her to drive on Six Summer this year. So, well, Six Summer in 2 weeks. So there you go, guys. Thanks for watching. All right, so we got back from Cletus and Cars about 1 o'clock this morning, and we have NHRA race next week. So
What's that for?
as you've seen, we broke the valve spring. Well, if you don't know, we broke the valve spring on the last pass. Still drove it back, just like Steve hates me for, but drove it back, and the valve still does slide up and down, so I think we're good there. But either way, it's best to get everything out, take it to Steve, get that stuff checked out, rather than just do that repair. And then we're hoping, which Wade from Peterson actually emailed me this morning asking how the weekend went, and I said it was all good until we broke a valve spring, and we're hoping they didn't go through the pump. And he said, well, you got screens on all your fittings in the pan, right? And I said, I don't think so. So we are hoping we're still good with that oil pump that we just went through everything with, but we'll take that off, we'll check all that out, but we'll just get it down to a long block and then take it to Steve and tomorrow morning, so that hopefully we can get that stuff turned around. We got to get back in the car to head to NHRA by next week. So life of race cars. So break it, fix it, break it, fix it. No, race it. Break it, fix it, race it. Break it, fix it, race it. So, but there you go. So Bob and Aiden are on there, and EJ going to get this thing all stripped out so we can get that done and out the door. So thanks, guys.
Excuse me. Oh, hey. There's a person in the way. The disrespect around here.
Go ahead.
Okay. You're gonna hit this and right now. And that is EJ certified.
Am I supposed to say something? We got a $100,000 engine and a $5 cherry picker with 25-cent wheels on it. So they blew up. Then we got new ones. Now we're putting them on. Today,
All right, so we had a little issue at Indy, and basically a broken valve spring. And so we ended up dropping the valve. Steve's got a video of it on his channel, but you can see to where we got lucky. I thought it was a broke rocker arm. I did what I always get in trouble for doing. I drove it back anyway. It was making a little noise. Called it good. If I revved it up, the noise kind of went away, so whatever. I called that good. But then got back to the pits, and then, like I said, thought it was a broken rocker arm and pulled the cover off. We actually had a broken spring. The retainer was gone. The valve was actually down in, but luckily the valve would slide up and down. So Steve does that video on his page covering that. But the cause of it is the rust on these springs. So what happens, it's happened to us like 3 times, and it's like when the car is left down in Florida, I say, but at the same point, the methanol, that then we don't drive it on pump gases. Methanol absorbs water. So basically, oh, there's all those so's for you, but it is pulling the water, the moisture into the engine, the methanol is absorbing it, and it causes it to rust the valve springs. When we switch over to pump gas and we drive it, then it burns all the methanol out of the oil, and therefore all the moisture goes out of the oil. But if we just race it, or a situation like where it broke and we just leave it down there, not able to do anything, I do evacuate the fuel system to make sure the injectors have gas in them, but nothing is enough to get that moisture out. A lot of the race teams, which now we're talking about, but like a lot of the race teams, they don't have water to cool their engine, so they hook a shop vac up on vacuum and they evacuate the motor to cool it down between rounds. Well, that also pulls all the moisture out of the engine. Any of the leftover methanol or anything would help to get that out. And what Powery told me, the tuner, Greg, is that if he lets that happen for a while and then he doesn't run again and he pulls the valve cover off, the milkiness of the oil is gone, which therefore the milkiness is caused by the methanol and the water in the oil. So it helps to clear that. It doesn't help with the oil pan or the dry sump tank or anything like that. But that's something we're going to look at doing, so that we do that between rounds to help keep the moisture out of there, because these things must be like so perfect that like a little bit of rust, which once again, these valve springs were new before going to sick week. So these valve springs have not been in there for 4 months. Or they were only in there for 4 months, and oil in there, no water, like nothing that, no water was introduced. It's just what the methanol is sucking up. So we had one broke one, cap fell off the valve. Luckily we got lucky on that. But then when Steve pulled everything apart, 4 broke valve springs. So to tell you like my part of it, which is a double-edged sword, but is in Orlando, we got this motor together, or we got the transmission back in it. We went to Orlando testing after we got that together, and I did a valve lash. Everything was perfect. Everything was still perfect, and everything was perfect on that valve lash. And I did notice some of the rust, but I always felt like Steve's just being overly critical, and it's like just like a little residue on there, and it really doesn't mean too much. But I like him trying to blame something else when something breaks. But then after we left Orlando, we only got a chance to make one pass. We only did one launch and spun the tires. So everything good. It was on the second pass going up that when the pump locked up. Well, as we'll tell you when we go through the pump, so as we tell you when we go through the pump, there was a sign there that if we would have known the sign, then we would have known about the problem ahead of time. So then, in the rush to get the pump changed, the pump parts and all of that stuff, I said, valve lash is good. The motor sounded fine. Usually I can tell if the lash is off just by listening to the motor. And it's good. Literally, it had a valve lash and has one partial pass on it, and that's it. So we never pulled the covers off before going to Indy. Now, if we would have pulled the covers off, we would have noticed the broken springs. Well, maybe not, because the lash, the fact that they're triple springs is that it still could have had a great lash on it, but unless I was being particular in looking for the broken spring, then I may or may not have seen it, or I usually do look at that stuff a little bit, but I'm not the engine builder, so I'm just the guy checking the valve lash and making sure I'm doing my part. So would I have caught it, would I not have caught it? Now, if I would have caught it, we wouldn't have been able to go to Indy. So we wouldn't have raced in Indy, and we would have put new valve springs in it and been getting ready for Chicago next week. The fact that I didn't find it, we went to Indy, it had broke valve springs. We didn't even do a full 8th mile pass, and I mean, it still went 403, and I was off of it at 500 feet into the run. So literally everything about the car still was doing what it was supposed to do until on the last pass on the drive back is when I heard the noise. That's when we dissected it. So we still put all new springs on it, but we put one valve in it. So we got to race at Indy, and it only cost me extra one valve. So therefore, I'll call that a win, that we got to race in Indy, we got to figure some stuff out with the fuel system, and it makes us, I think, better ready to go to Chicago next week. So I know that's very long-winded. I tried to limit the number of so's, but rusty valve springs, that part that's on there is cause for these things to break. So we have to make sure that, I guess we're evacuating the system, make sure that that rust is not forming. To me, it's like, how can a brand new valve spring 4 months old get rust, even if I left it in a freaking puddle of water? But obviously it can. So there's an extra so for you. That's what we got. They're working on getting it back together. Hopefully get this thing running and make it to Chicago for next week for the NHRA shootout. There you go. Thanks. All right, so rather than go back to Peterson, Bobby disassembled this whole thing last week for us to figure it out. And what happened is each one of these, there's different size sections. So we only have one section that's 120. These others are 140. And then some mounting ears and stuff like that. But literally, we only have one 120 section. That's the one that the parts went through and locked that one up. So then Bob went through the parts they sent back after they rebuilt it, which came out of that bag. And the only one that was the 120, which we took this out at
You took
Steve's
the piece
show.
out, didn't you?
Steve whacked it out to verify, but it was part of a valve spring. So basically that means in Orlando, Peterson had said on the phone, we never looked at any of this stuff. They said through the pressure side. So it actually, the scavenge side is where a piece of the valve spring got sucked in and shoved there, and that is what would have locked up that pump. Well, unbeknownst to us, we put the new pump on, we think everything's good, and we made passes with it, multiple passes, we ran it, like all kinds of stuff happened at Cleetus cars, and then it finally, so then it finally stopped.
Other things were breaking.
So, yeah,
More-
some other
more
stuff was
springs.
broke. The oil pump still was working, but when we pulled everything apart and we found more debris in there, that's what basically that same section, that same scavenge section had got something put into it. So Bobby is
Gonna
now
put it back together.
an expert oil pump rebuilder, so in-house. So he's
As long
putting
as
it
we have
together.
parts.
He's putting it together. Hopefully, the way it came apart,
It's
and then it
pretty-
should all work
pretty
correctly.
simple.
So,
It's
but
just
doesn't
little sections.
because this section has to turn opposite,
No,
doesn't it?
this-
Because how does it scavenge out one
this-
section back? Or
This
that's the
goes
back.
here. Yeah, this is
So-
the back. So this side does all the driving with all the keyways into the rotors. This side just freewheels over here and has no driving ability.
Cool.
So yeah, everything is driven off of this one shaft,
So
including the fuel pump on the front. So it's doing a lot.
So he is going to put this together just like a Johnny Cash song, one piece at a time.
Right.
And there's only 200
Hopefully
pieces here.
they're all the right pieces. Okay, Johnny Cash.
Oh, can you actually play? No, you can't play that music because we can't play it on YouTube. But you can play it while Bobby's putting it together.
Right. Done. I screwed up and I put the oil pressure regulator body on backwards, so I had double O-ring. So of course I already had all the new spiral locks on the stupid rotor, but they were gracious enough to send me 4 new spiral clips, so I spun that around and we're back in business. So it's all done other than putting the fittings in it.
All right, so the kids hopefully are getting the last touches on getting 2.0 ready to fire up so we can get that to Chicago. Hopefully that's all good. We can make Chicago. We gotta leave. It's Monday. We gotta leave by Wednesday. So Bob turns on the air compressor. See how that is. But there you go. Hopefully we're ready. Thanks. Oil pressure
Plugged
is
in.
hooked up.
Yeah, your oil pressure's on this filter.
Okay.
Now we did run across this one. This must be the old one. I don't know where in the hell that guy came from.
No, that goes. This is an extension.
Aha, Aiden, that's
Well,
what
right
it is.
here it plugs in, and then it runs down here.
That's a shock sensor.
Okay, here's
then
the
it runs
problem.
right here. Goes.
No,
oh,
this was
right
an
here.
extended wire.
Right here. So where does that fucking plug into?
It plugs in up here.
How did, dude? It's zip tied down here. There's no way that ran up there.
No, but this one can make it down there.
Oh.
Whew. I was starting to get a little nervous on that oil pump.
Me too.
There we go.
We didn't want to take that boy
Wait,
back
will that
out
reach
for no
like that
reason.
easily? Hold on, because I can route it different.
Yeah, routed a different way.
Too many wires to get plugged in.
But yeah, I've never had it read 0 like it was reading, so. Building oil pressure now.
What was that though?
What was it? Over here. Do it again.
Oh, look at that start.
Oh.
That is not tight or something.
It's not tight. Hold up.
I
Somebody
definitely
might have
tightened
forgot that.
Hold up.
That boy was going. Blah, blah, blah. It's gonna fall off.
But can you move it with your hand at all?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
Hit it.
Hit it.
I don't like that. Well, everything was tight, but it rattled around, and I was able to tighten it a little bit.
It still doesn't look good.
Huh?
It went like that
Did it?
again. Yeah.
You might have torn the threads out of this one. 'Cause this one's loose again.
That is not good.
It's not, there's not much access to it.
Take it off.
I am. gonna be mad because I'm getting right back out because I gotta go make about a 4-inch extension so I can drill that out and tap it and put a helicoil in there. Wonder if the other one's bad. Oh, the other one goes in pretty good.
What happened to get us in this predicament, Bob?
Do you really want me to say this, or should you talk to Aiden? Is he here to explain his situation? Is what I think is that there's 2 shims that go between the starter and the engine block, and one of them got in the wrong spot, and he thought that this was tight, and it wasn't, because one of them shims got all bent up and did not seat correctly to the block, and then she done janked it right out. Them are the same thickness?
Yeah.
Alright. Where's that other one? So them got folded over onto what, the oil pan? These got wadded up in between the pan. There's a little notch. And these probably got, they were on the outside of that bolt and then got bent over the edge of the oil pan. So whatever, we'll fix her up. Should be back on the road momentarily. Okay, I guess that's it. What do you think? Did we do a good job?
Appears to be on there.
We did a good repair, let's say that. And it's tight. I can't tighten it no more, so I think we're good. Thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, usually I fill it when it's running. Well, I turned that baffle. I don't think it's leaking down that bad. But,
Say what?
yeah, I'd go in and fill up that baffle. Like, I mean, it's going to take... Wait, what's that oil drip? See fuel in the front. See oil right there.
Did you spill fuel?
No, I feel like it's coming down like by this line right here. This line off this primer pump maybe? Like by that check valve?
Give me an adjustable and an 8. Gotta just be residue. There's no line touching it.
Oh no, there's another drip down there though. Unless that's just leftover.
This ain't
just
it.
leftover.
Aiden, it's leaking out of this piece of crap right here.
Oh, is that where it's leaking?
Yeah.
Just a little lever.
Yeah, the lever started leaking.
That's stupid.
Because I thought it was this up here.
Well, that I tightened
Nothing.
the ton. Mine would be if this down here is leaking, because that
Nope.
bell ring's not super
Yeah, it's
tight.
definitely.
That's not it. It's right here.
It's right at the where the
Right.
lever threads in.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't take that part apart.
Nope.
But you're gonna.
All right. Here's the tank, right?
Yeah, that's open. This is open. That's closed. Is that everything?
Yep.
Is this tight? So about like that.
The fuel leak gone. Were you guys able to get the other O-ring out of that other fitting?
You get it. I don't think you messed with this up. That O-ring. It's not like sporting out, but there's definitely
Well, we will hope the leak goes away. Wishful thinking.
you want to take one of those other valves just in case?
Yeah.
Drop something out of there.
And then, all right, now you need to jack up the front end. We got to pull the coupler out of this. And then we'll pump that out and where's the torque out there? Inside. Gotcha. And then switch it over to, we'll switch it over to pump gas.
You need to jack up the front to get the coupler out.
So, yeah, I mean, if you can get it out, I've tried it multiple times and sometimes I can get it, but literally I usually spend 20 minutes fighting with it to where I can jack it up in 5 minutes and pull it out in 30 seconds. So, and then which, whatever, you're gonna
You want to change plugs?
need to put 7th in it because the first thing we're gonna do is street drive it.
Yeah, it definitely smells like gas. Close it. Yeah, just give me a second to get this out. Okay. Are you gonna fire it up? I mean, it's got 10s in it. I don't know how low it's gonna.
You guys put gas in the back tank?
It wasn't maybe 2.5 gallons, 3 gallons or something.
There's 2.4 gallons in the back tank right now.
Something not right.
That ain't right. Was that the same big flame came out that side on the earlier one?
I don't know if it was a giant. I didn't see much of a flame, but it definitely popped. I saw that flame. You want to drain this gas out and get gas we know 100% what it is?
No, when in doubt, call Greg.
Who?
Hey.
Hey.
Question. I just flipped this over to start it on pump gas, and literally as soon as hit it, like a way bigger backfire than usual, and then whatever, then then cranked it. It took a while before it got ready to fire again, and when it did fire again, there was a huge flame shot out the driver's side.
Reloaded the tune-up file that was in because I updated the firmware obviously, but I took the tune-up file from the pump gas that was in your laptop and put that back in the car, so it should be the correct tune-up file.
My only question is that one of the tune-up files possibly that when the cam sync was in backwards, that then we reversed the firing order on.
I mean, with where I'm at, I mean, I'm probably 10 minutes away, 10, 15 minutes away from you, so
Oh,
I can
well,
also come there.
yeah,
and
just
look
come
at
to the shop, because by the time I look at everything, you would already be here and say, oh, it's all good now.
it. Right. Yeah, alright. I'll head that way. I'll be there in 10, 15 minutes.
Cool, sounds good. See ya.
Alright.
Alright, so I believe the cam sync got put in backwards last time we went together. Greg did an update to the file, or an update to the software, but he said he pulled a drag week file. So if it was a drag week file before sick week, we had changed the firing order, so I don't know, like, whatever. And when he's only 10 minutes away, by the time I pull my laptop out and then look at the firing order in the two to make the corrections, he'll already be here. So we'll assume, because that is typically the backwards firing order when it shoots flame out the pipes. So wait for Greg.
So it's backwards.
Yeah, that's what it's been ever since
Yeah.
before sick week. And that's why, like, when you said you put the drag week one in, it's like, I know that when we came back after it got fixed from drag week, before we went to Florida, that's when it was backwards.
Yeah. So the cam sync's on the wrong stroke.
So that's why we'd switch the firing order with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So yeah, that's what was wrong.
yeah, I figured. Like, it's happened enough times now that pretty much I know
Right.
the backwards firing order. Yeah, but that came down to me saying, do I trust me pulling that out and doing it the opposite and putting it back in, or do I trust me changing the firing order in there to make it backwards? And I
Right.
trusted that more than I trusted that. So,
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna save the actual file.
all right. So Greg to the rescue. Went back to the backwards firing order, and then everything runs perfect.
You got room, not much, but you got room. Uh,